Welcome to the Self-Realized Podcast with Linton Bergson, where you will shatter your limits. I am not much into the self-help industry as much as I'm into the self-realized individual, which is you. What matters most to you, how you get there, and the obstacles that may be in your way. If you would like to be part of this podcast and part of that discussion, I welcome you here with an open heart, open mind, and open arms. So, without further ado, let's get on with the podcast. A very warm welcome to the Self-Realized Podcast, Shatter Your Limits. I am Linton Bergson, and the topic today is what matters most to you. And that's a fairly broad topic, and I will be sharing with you some techniques that I've worked with Fortune 500 companies and individuals that have brought about some very profound changes in the organizations and their lives. And some of these techniques obviously may not work for you. I hope they will, but I'll share that with you up front because they are not the run-of-the-mill same techniques that many people have shared with those organizations or individuals over a period of time. And one of the things I like to share, and I've opened up all my presentations with this statement, and I will start today with the statement that I've shared with them, and I hope it works for you, is listening to this podcast and future podcasts, don't pay any attention going forward to anything that you've read or anything anyone may have told you or said to you that you have in your mind right now that is going to be a background soundtrack to what is being presented today. Create a blank slate. Make a conscious effort to create a blank slate in your mind today so that you can focus and concentrate on this message. And hopefully it can work for you on a very deep subconscious level as well as conscious level. But that is not possible unless you eradicate any background noise of what someone may have said to you is important to you or something you read in a book. Books are useful. I'm not saying they're not. But when we use the book as a reference point for our lives to create conditioning and influence us to believe that things matter most to us when they really don't. Or someone said to us what should matter to us. The school we go to, the career we should have, who we should marry, and we make that the premise of our decision-making process, we are in trouble. Because what matters most to you does not come from a book. It does not come from an individual. It comes from you. And you need to own that. Trust your own gut. Trust your own instincts. Trust who you are as a being, that you know what matters most for you in every area of your life. And if you can own that space within yourself and gather all of your senses, inwardly and outwardly, to understand the depth of having that as a foundation of your life in every area of your life changes. Because what is communicating to you, what matters most to you, is profound. There is something that is communicating to you. You can call it your gut level. You can call it intuition. You can call it whatever you like, but we all have it. There is no denying it. We can put it aside and say, oh, that's my imagination. Well, maybe it is. But at least give it the opportunity to have a voice. Give it the opportunity to at least talk to you just a little bit. If someone says to you, well, you will be good at this, don't you think maybe you want to think to yourself, really, would I? Or do you just go along with it because it's their suggestion? What matters most to you is what fulfills you inwardly first, in my suggestion, and outwardly second. If you use that point of reference of going inwardly to access that point of that gut feeling, that sense of purpose, that sense of well-being from what you're pursuing and where you're going in your life, from your own self-examination and values and how you want your life to look, you are now in ownership of what matters most to you. You cannot be in ownership of what matters most to anybody else. I've read things, I've listened to other people, but I've taken that as information. There's a difference between information and knowledge, and it is my sincere suggestion that you learn to differentiate between the two. Knowledge is no ledge. Know which ledge you want to jump off of. That's how I take knowledge, because I know myself which ledge I want to be on and how it looks when I'm standing on that ledge and whether I am prepared to jump off it or not. Information is just what people give to me or I read somewhere. It's information. Now, I can decide what information I choose to use and put into practice in my life and have that as an outcome, and what information I choose to discard. And you can look at information from the perspective of, I can experiment with it to see if it has value, and then have the knowledge for myself by using it and experimenting with that information that it is in alignment with what resonates with me. Now, when you look at knowledge and what matters most to you, you're really looking at the resonance that things have with you that matter to you, that are in alignment with your values, that will put you in a place where you sit within yourself from a place of innate power. Knowledge, internal knowledge of being able to say, I want to do this with my life, and I'm not going to let anybody else influence that, because what resonates with me may not resonate with other people. What resonates with what my family thinks I need to do, who I need to marry, what I need to look like to them, is not how I need to look like to me. And in that compromise of losing oneself, in that dilemma of what does it look to society, what does it look to my family, what does it look like to my coworkers, where's my sense of belonging, how am I really going to put my life together, we stand alone. And we can be all right with that in our own power. And knowledge really is standing alone within one's own power, knowing that external circumstances and what we're told to believe really are not part of us. There are external forces acting on us. Knowledge of ourselves is internal forces guiding us from a sense of purpose given to us from an intuitive sense, an inner sense of our own well-being that may be in contradiction to what other people may have us choose to believe. Now, that may sound a little bit complicated, but if you were to really think about that and digest that for a second with an open mind, my sincere wish for you, or belief, is that you will come to the conclusion that the only thing that matters for you is what matters most to you from your inner guidance, your sense of self, and who you are. That takes courage. And that authenticity is your power, because you were born to be an individual. You were not created like anybody else. So by default, you are able to express what no one else can. Thereby, anyone's influence on you, suggesting to you what you need to do, may be a blueprint that they are trying to project on you. Because the truth really is, for you, no one can tell you what to do, because there's only one you. Only you can. And that's really what matters most to you comes into its own power. If you really sat down for a moment, quiet moment, and you made a list of things of what matters most to you in many areas of your life, because it's not just one area, because you can go on Google and you can type in Wheel of Life. Very simple. Just type it in, and you'll see that when you type in Wheel of Life, that there are many wheels of life that come up that you can either print out and look at and apply certain things from those wheels of life that resonate with you. And I'm very big on this word resonate, because when something resonates, and it really doesn't have a reason why it does, right? We have certain songs, certain people, certain places that resonate with us. And that's because we are in alignment with it. And that alignment allows us to know that there's something right about what we're feeling, as much as when we don't resonate, it's saying we don't feel something right about what's going on in our life. So when you print out the wheel of life that you have chosen, because as I've mentioned, there are different ones there, you'll see that wheel of life has different aspects to it. It's circular, and it's circular with different suggestions in it of what may matter to you, what matters most to you in the environment, in your personal development, in your health, in your family, your social and friends, your love and romance, your career, your finance, your fun and recreation. So you have all these different areas that my suggestion is that you would look as to what resonates with you and what matters most to you. Those two go together. What matters most to you, and if what you have chosen truly resonates with you on a very deep level. Because that is the guiding light, the guiding premise of, in my opinion, the choices you need to make for yourself is, how does it feel for you internally? Do you feel connected to it in each area that you've chosen? Is it in alignment with your values? And if you look at it from a career perspective and you go for a job and you say to yourself, what matters most to me when I go into this organization? A lot of people don't do that, and they take a job and then the culture doesn't work or the management doesn't work. Certain elements don't work because they haven't really defined in any great detail of what matters most to you before you went into that particular situation. So in each area of your life, my suggestion is take some time to look at what matters most to you and why. And then begin to put your life together through the choices that you make from that list, from that place that you have taken time to put together to understand where it is that you would like to end up at any certain moment of time in your life. Now, of course, over periods of time, this will change. What you decide to look at what matters most at 20 is not going to look the same as what matters most to you at 30 or 40 or 50 or 60. So this is an ongoing exercise that we look at in our lives and be cognizant of, because if we lose track of it, we're going to go off track. And it's very easy to lose that center place of what matters most to me and why am I doing it, from every area. Because that wheel of life is a circle for a reason. And it's like any wheel. If that wheel gets out of balance for any reason, it knocks off the way that you successfully roll down the pathway of your life. Now, it's never going to be perfect. That is not the suggestion. We're looking at something that is changeable and ongoing in your life, that you are looking to constantly be aware of and adapt. And adaptability is a very, very important cornerstone of constantly being aware of adjusting what matters most to you and why, and not being fearful to make those adjustments. Because if we let fear, which is a normal thing, and I understand that, control, and this is the operative word, control our decisions, we are doomed before we start. Because in that mindset, if we were to etch out something that matters most to us and why, we may think it's ridiculous. We may think that I cannot say or do that. But you can. Because you are you. And again, if it's resonating with you, don't put it aside. It's resonating for a reason. Things don't resonate randomly. Things resonate for a reason. 2 R's, resonate and reason. And you can rely on that as a guiding path to your life. And if you were to allow yourself to just go with that means the most to you, that matters the most to you, and you know why, and open-minded enough to follow that path and not allow other people to influence you off of that one way or another. And look at it from the perspective of, I am willing to experiment with what resonates with me and what matters most to me in my life. And I know why, because I know my values. I'm doing that work. I've dedicated time to my own personal development. That's a choice I made in what matters most to me. And you can look at what personal development you would ever like to have in your life and participate in. There are many options. But you know what road you're going down and have the willingness to experiment, to see what possible outcomes are there for you. I would strongly, strongly suggest to you, run the experiment, go down that road, what matters most to you. Don't be influenced by other people. Follow your resonance to your own destiny. And you will be absolutely shocked and surprised at not only what you can accomplish, but how good you feel about yourself. I sincerely appreciate you listening to the podcast. Please subscribe so you do not miss any upcoming episodes. Whatever platform you're on, please leave a rating and review. I would greatly appreciate it. Any additional information on me, Linton Bergson, and my 5-star reviewed book, Purposeful Vision, is available at selfrealize.com, which is all one word. You can also leave any comments or suggestions on the website. I look forward to connecting with you very soon, and take good care of yourself.